Hey chasers, welcome back to our channel. I'm Tim and this is Gail, and we are chasing the Joneses, and we're happy to bring you a new video. This video is really needed for all people,
especially for those that are just starting out. You know, we feel like we're major seasoned veterans now, right?
Right.
We've been on the road for 10 whole months.
10 months.
Driving our 2000 Damon Challenger 330. It's a Class A, and we love this little thing.
And so, this 10 months, I mean, we have made some mistakes, right?
Yes.
And that's what we're going to bring you today, right?
Absolutely. You know what? It's a good thing to say too. When I was a little girl, I had gone camping. You grew up camping, but when we felt like we were really being led to do this, neither of us had any kind of experience whatsoever camping on the scale that we're doing now. We didn't. Neither of us had been camping in decades. But we just realized we could do this, and we did tons of research, watched tons of YouTube videos, just like you're doing, and we felt like we could do it. 10 months later, we're going to save you a ton of time, tons of time, by letting you know which mistakes we made, so you don't have to make those.
So you don't have to make them, right?
Isn't that nice?
You're welcome.
You're welcome.
We don't want you to repeat the same mistakes that many of us new RVers, the newbies, make. I mean, we're going to make mistakes. There's no doubt about it. But if you're able to not make these mistakes or understand these types of things you need to do, it's a lot easier when you get out there for your first time, your second time, your third time, your fifth time. And you know, even so, this may even help some of the other people who are full-time RVing or weekend RVers, or people who really want to go out and start to live the dream of full-time RV life, right?
Absolutely.
And so we got some mistakes that's going to benefit you. Because there are mistakes. There are things that we did. And so we're going to start off, I think we go ahead and start off with like, we'll go backwards, 10. No, we're going to go with number 1.
Okay.
Number 1 is this. Know the size of your rig.
This sounds like it's so basic, but it's not.
It's not. You know, you have to understand how tall you are, for example, and you don't measure just from, you know, you want to measure it out. You want to measure from the bottom of the wheel all the way up to the top, but even past that, because you have things on top of your RV that are sticking up, and you want to make sure that you get all that, because you want to write that down, put it next to your windshield, because when you're traveling down the road, you need to be aware of how tall you are when you're going under the bridges, under that stuff, and it's very, very important, because, you know, we've watched videos where people get stuck inside of those things because they don't understand, they don't notice how tall they are compared to the bridges, right?
Or they scalp themselves.
Yeah, they scalp themselves. Area, and also you need to know the width, right? The width is very important. You know, when you're going down other roads, small roads and things like that, you know, you need to be able to understand how you're to maneuver maneuver your vehicle. In fact, I call it the stop sign incident, because we were going to friend's house. We were going to park in their yard. You know, we were going to do that mooch camping. You know, and what happened was we were on a very narrow road, and I tried to make a turn, and I wasn't paying attention, and I ended up running into the stop sign on the side of our RV, and it made all this sound, scratch. I'm going to show you a picture over here in a minute, but we did that, and because we weren't focused on our width, and so you got to know your width, you got to know your height, you got to know your length. You know, you got to know your length, because RV places, they're gonna ask you what's your width. You know, they're gonna say how long are you? You know, what's the size of your rig? And they're talking about the length so that you could fit into these particular spots. So they all have that figured out. So you need to know that as well. And that leads us to number 2, and number 2 is really it's really a big thing because it happened even before we left. I mean, it was really crazy.
It was great.
And so what is it?
It is, don't overpack.
Yes.
Here's the deal. We had upgraded from an old Class C to an old Class A, and we used it, 2 times, but when we realized we wanted to do full time, we needed more space. So we've got this Class A, and y'all, I've got cabinets for days. And we were slowly, methodically moving in from the parsonage where we lived to the RV, and I still had so much space left over. And so in my head, I'm thinking, if there's still space, I can still put stuff in here. And so PT finally said, hey, let's just go and see how much we weigh at this point.
That was so funny.
We didn't have the mattress. We didn't have our clothes. We certainly didn't have all of our food. And there was no water in the tanks whatsoever. We pull up to the weigh station. In fact, I had to get out of the vehicle because we didn't know where the buttons were. We push the button. We get weighed. And our gross vehicle weight rating was 18,000 pounds. Do you remember how much we weighed that day?
We were at
17,980 pounds.
Yeah.
And I wasn't even in the vehicle.
She wasn't even in.
And I went, but what? So, there were things. So we had to make some changes quick, fast, and in a hurry. When I posted that on one of our sites, a lot of people said, hey, I didn't know that it mattered how much we put in our rig. It does. It's a really big deal because... But
that's an important fact. To help you out is to know that. And then that leads us to number 3, which is vitally important. And I'm going to talk about number 3 because it's my duty, really.
Yes.
And it's leaving the black or the gray water valve open while you're driving. And because what happens is especially in a trailer, not so much a motorhome, but in a trailer, that stuff is flying onto windshields and all that other stuff, the dripping and all that other stuff. So you got to make sure you close that up. And really, you got to make sure that everything is taken care of when you do that. So you dump and you make sure everything is closed up and you do that. Now here's a tip. Here's a tip. While camping, you need to leave your black tank, closed. Okay? You don't leave it open because what will happen is solids will build up and you won't be able to flush it through. Okay, so you leave that closed and then you leave your gray tank open. And when you're about ready to flush out your black tank, you just close the gray tank for a while and then you're able to flush all that system with water out and then you're good to go. And then the next tip I have for you is that don't look down the end of your sewer connection, while it's connected and you're trying to draw out stuff. Okay, I'm sorry, I made that mistake myself, and I don't know what I was thinking. But here's the deal. I decided long ago, and I might get some heat from other RVers about this, but I decided long ago that I'm not going to continually, because we're living full time, I'm not going to continually put on and take off the hose.
Okay. The
hose has a cap on it. It's stuck in the compartment. That's where all of our stuff is at. So I leave it connected. I don't disconnect it. And so I was there. We were emptying the gray tank for some reason. I don't even remember why we were doing it. But we were at the dump station, right? And I pull the thing and nothing is coming out. And I'm like, so I look down inside of that, right? And I was just able, when I saw all that coming up, I was able to push it out like this. So, I got a little bit wet, but I didn't get all wet. But you've got to be careful when you're doing that. Don't make the mistake of looking down your sewer hose while you're trying to... If that would have been the black tank, that would have been just terrible, right? So anyway, that's a good tip for you. Yeah. Don't look down there when you're trying to do it. Make sure you get everything inside where it needs to be. So when you pull that and open it up, it's going to actually go down into the sewer. And that leads us to number 4.
It seems like every other one is something that I'm in trouble for. Okay, this is actually a really serious one. However, and it turns out people understand it, and that is, don't get distracted during your setup or your teardown process.
Right.
And what I've learned is, if you just say, oh, I just have to do my teardown, or I just have to do my setup, people say, oh, okay, I'll chat with you later.
Right.
Because everybody knows this. You have to have a system that you use each time that you set up and tear down. And it doesn't matter how you do it. It could be a chalkboard. You can just have it on a piece of paper.
Some people have it on their phone.
Yeah, people have it, whatever that is. But you want to go through it, and you do not want to be distracted talking to people or anything out of the order, because sure enough, you'll forget something. And that's when you're going to lose equipment. That's when you're going to break equipment. Yeah. That's when you'll accidentally start driving and your antenna or your awning is out. They could be some really, really expensive mistakes.
Correct.
Or if it is something that you really have to be distracted, then stop doing everything. Deal with your distraction, and then start at the very beginning again, so that you're going through that whole routine.
Hey, listen, if this is benefiting you in any way, make sure you subscribe to our channel and push that like button, that thumbs up, because the more views we get, the better it is for us. These videos go out far and wide, the more views and the more subscriptions that we have. So please do that. Yes. And that leads us to number 5, and which is a big one.
Also
we talked about it in our winterization video, and that is to make sure that you have a full tank of gas before you get to the park where you're going to park at. Yes. Now, it's a pet peeve of ours, because if there is a storm that comes up, you know, in the summertime, a violent thunderstorm, tornado, and you've really got to get out of Dodge. Maybe in the wintertime, you're camping somewhere in the wintertime, storm blows through, and you really got to get out. It's a pain in the butt to try and stop at the gas station when everybody else is trying to get out too. So for emergency purposes, you need to make sure you fill up. Also, because you want to avoid the hassle of stopping at the gas station, you know, on travel day. You know, when it's your travel day, you just want to pack up, get everything situated, and get on the road.
And get to going.
But if you're stopping at the gas station, it just kind of just it takes a little bit more time.
Makes everything take forever.
Yeah, it does.
Right.
It does.
Right.
So fill up your gas tank before you get to your destination.
Yep. Okay, so, oh my goodness, this was so fun. Okay, huge mistake. Not having a long enough extension cord.
Number 6.
Oh yeah, this is number 6. You know what? I just realized it's 1 per month. It's 10. Anyway, not having an extension cord. Yeah. Here's the quick backstory. When we first got on the road, it was like 2 days after we moved into the motorhome full time. Our Jeep, which is our towed vehicle, just decided it didn't want to work anymore. So it was finally time that we had to go. We'd waited and waited to get everything fixed. We had to leave our Jeep at the shop and drive up to our first few places where we had committed to be. We get there, and there was also the whole comedy during 2020 of not having bikes, but we finally found a bike, or found bikes. And so the only way that we could go anywhere was either to, you know, pack everything up and take the whole motorhome with us, or to ride our bikes. So we got to one place, and huge, beautiful sights, but we didn't have a long enough extension cord to go from our motorhome to the end of the pad to where the plug-in was. We needed a 50 or a 50 foot.
50 foot, yeah.
And we only had 25. So we had to get on our bikes and ride to Home Depot. They didn't have one. To Menards. They didn't have one. To Walmart. They didn't have one. We finally ended up like Tractor Supply, or anyway, we went to like 3 or 4 places. Boy, if we had known that, we would have already had that extra 50 foot. And the same goes with an adapter, you know.
Yes, the adapter from 30
to 50 or
50 to 30,
right,
or even 30 to 120, but also a surge protector. Number 7, we're at number 7,
okay.
And that is, you know, there's a mistake when you don't do a shakedown trip. You know, there's a big mistake about that. And so when you just get in and think you're all ready to go, as soon as you hit that first hard turn that you're going to make, things just start flying out of nowhere.
Right.
And so it's good to take and do a shakedown trip. Now, a shakedown trip is this. You go maybe 30 minutes outside of your house.
You don't even have to go far.
And don't go far, but just find a place and then just be there for a weekend and learn how to hook up, learn how to dump the sewer, learn how to do learn where to put stuff on traveling when you're traveling, and learn how to, and make notes about things you need to get that you don't really have that you're going to need. And then you do another shakedown, and just to keep getting more familiar with that before you actually take off and actually go on the road, because it's important to know how to do things in your RV before you hit the road.
Correct.
For a long trip. Well, that leads us to number 8.
Oh, number 8. Don't argue during the time when you're parking your rig. In fact, I think when you pull up, you should just take hands and pray. I mean, seriously. We have seen some whoppers when we've been out there. And what a bummer to park and immediately have to put everything away and drive to the attorney's office because you're ready to get a divorce.
Remember that shirt we saw? What was that shirt that we saw?
I'm sorry for what I said while we were parking the rig. That's what it says.
I mean, it's so common, right? Yeah. It's so common. Now how do you handle that? Well, we try hand signals, and you have to really get your stuff together. Right. I mean, we're going to have a difficult time parking probably on our next stop because we've been parked here for so long. But we have to have patience, right? And sometimes I have to get out because I have to see, And so while she's backing me up, sometimes I have to get out and kind of take a look around real quick. And just to make sure we're in the right spot or whatever the case may be. We entered into one spot where it was sandy, and the rig began to sink down. And we didn't catch it until I started setting up and looking at it and saying, oh, wait a minute, this is not going to be good for us. So you really got to make sure that you're not arguing with each other, because it creates a poor atmosphere when you're trying to set up.
Right.
You're not happy and jovial. What you are is you're angry and upset, and you're like, put that chair there, put that there. And that's not what you do. You're out here to have a great time. Right. So just be patient as you're parking, and you're going to get in a scuffle here and there, but don't let it affect, your setting up, your tearing down. Don't let it affect your day, because it's really it will poison your day. Right.
Now, ways to counter that. Some people use walkie-talkies, but we figured, why buy an extra walkie-talkie when we have our phones? So it's a whole lot easier just to go ahead and get on the phone, and he has it on speaker as he's backing, and I can just say, keep coming, or I can say, hey, you've got about 3 inches on this side. Do you think you should maybe go that direction? As opposed to all I've got when he's looking is I've got this, I got this, I got this, and I've got this. That's all you have.
Stop.
So if you have walkies or you have a phone, you can actually converse. Yeah. So then you understand more about what the other person is seeing or thinking back there. There's that. And then too, as you're parking, invariably other people are going to come on this road, and whoever's that parker, you'll start to feel like you've got to hurry up and park. And everybody wants to come and watch you park. It's just entertainment.
Just what it is.
It is not that serious. Nobody is judging you. Nobody is grading you. It's just, here come the new neighbors. So take your time. It's going to be okay. And just park.
And that brings us to number 9. And here is a big tip for number 9. Number 9 is a huge tip. And that is, don't drive with a full freshwater tank, or don't drive with full waste tank. Sometimes you can't get away with it a little while because you're trying to get to a dump station. But we have done this twice. In our Harvey, Class C that we had, we had a full freshwater tank, and we were driving down the highway, and that thing was just rocking us back and forth. And when you stop and you go, and so don't have, if you want to, you know, wait till you get too close to your destination to fill your tanks up if you're going to be using your fresh water tank, right? And so do that when you're getting close. If you're going to go boondocking or mooch docking, whatever the case may be, you know, where you're not close to water, fill it up not before you leave, but once you get to that place. Plus, it's a problem for gas mileage as well, right? And then, of course, make sure your tanks are empty, your sewer tanks are empty, the black and the gray. We had a time where we were desperately searching for a place to dump a dump station, and we couldn't find one for no. I mean, we were right. I mean, this thing was just full, and I don't even know why we didn't.
Well, we didn't know about apps yet.
Yes, that's true. So either empty your tanks first, which is the primary thing to do,
if at all possible.
If you can't, make sure before you leave you find your way to, you know, where the dump station is going to be.
Correct.
Well, that leads us to number 10. Number 10, big 10.
Number 10, driving. Don't drive too long. Don't drive too far. Just, you know, when you're driving in a car to get somewhere, it often becomes this thing of, I've got to hurry up and get there so my free time can begin. But when you're RVing, your free time begins as soon as you start. So yeah, you got to take your time. This is not a race to get from point A to point B so that then your fun can start. Your fun starts as soon as you turn on the key and start moving. So enjoy it if you have a chance to park at Camp Walmart or a Bass Pro Shops parking lot. It's okay. Just plan that. So we have a 4-4-4 rule. And the 4-4-4 rule is that we never drive more than 4 hours in a day. We don't drive more than 400 miles. And we try our best to be done driving by 4 p.m. Okay, so any of those, you know, we don't do that. Now, maybe, you know, we're close to 400 miles, but we're maybe 50 miles left until we get to our destination. Okay, so yeah, of course, maybe you go ahead. But you want to be where you need to be for the night by 4 or so, because then you have time to set up what you need to set up. It is no fun setting up in the dark. Everybody will tell you that. And you can have some time to just relax, unwind. It's not the same as checking into a motel when you're trying, you know, we drive until you just couldn't drive anymore and check into a hotel. You don't have to do that. We're RVers. We can chill.
So here's the thing. You know, when I drive over 5 hours, I mean, I am exhausted. Because, you know, especially if it's windy out, you know, you're fighting traffic, you're towing things. I mean, it's just, you know, you're trying to get from point A to point B. And if you're just in this huge rush to get somewhere fast, you're going to miss out on some great luxuries, right? Like we stopped at, you know, because we weren't in a hurry, you know, we were able to stop at the world's largest truck stop. Right? And, you know, we decided at that time, whenever we go by the world's largest something, that's going to be our stop time. You know, we're going to stop and just see those. And so, you know, and you can do that. But also, here's the thing, is that you get into that park early, so that you can rest up for the next day, or you get to the Walmart early, or wherever it is, so you can rest up for the next day. And it's really, really important. So don't drive long miles, don't drive long hours, don't do that. Enjoy your journey when you have it. Well, that's the 10, but I have a bonus tip for you. We have a bonus tip, and it's this one. I'm gonna let you do it.
Yeah, actually, you should be the one to do it, but I'll do it because he didn't want to say it probably. Okay. It's okay to ask for help.
When you get to a park, I mean, it's okay if you have a question about setting up. It's okay if you have a question about, you know, how do you hook up your electric, or there's something wrong with the sewer, or there's something wrong with your water. I mean, or if you got something wrong with your rig, it's okay to ask. I would say the best way to make friends when you get into an RV park is put your hood up.
Seriously,
will come.
We made more friends that way.
Yes, people will come. So, so don't just take it upon yourself. Ask for help. Check into all of our videos, our DIY videos, our winterization videos, and all those other things that we got coming up. Check in with those, and they may be able to help you as well.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's ours. That's our big 10+1. And I'm sure that some of you have some tips that you've learned already.
Yeah.
Or if you're a new person to RVing, let us know in the comments below which one of those is one that you thought, oh yeah, I have to make sure and do that one. Would you tell us that? We'd love to hear from you.
Yeah, absolutely. And listen, don't forget to subscribe to our channel, and also to like this video.
Right.
It's always important to do that. And as always, we are so glad to be able to bring you this video of things that we have done, so that you won't have to do them yourself, and so you have a better RV starting out than any of us.
Right.
So.
That way you can make your own YouTube video later with a different set of mistakes, and then we'll watch yours and we can learn too.
That's
right. There you go. So meanwhile, thanks for watching. I'm Gail.
And I'm Tim.
And we will see you
down the road.
Bye.